It's time to take a look at what has been happening in the country, and you're here to speak to one gentleman. But before we do that, let's just listen to what Musalia Mudavadi has been saying in as far as Kibra is concerned.
Ati Kibira ni bedroom ya watu fulani. Go and look at in today's paper. Hii language ya watu kutusi watu namna hiyo, we cannot accept this thing. Nyumba imejengwa na ushuru wa mwananchi wa Kenya. Hapo hiyo si boma yake ya kibinafsi, imejengwa na ushuru wenu.
We want to change the country for the better. Ruto na timu yake have had a second term. Wamegona term ya kwanza na term ya pili. Their term is ending. We need a new dispensation in the Republic of Kenya.
All right, and the man is here in studio, Musalia Mudavadi, the party leader of ANC. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante sana.
How is your morning?
Very well, Mr. Gituku.
All right, and now I want us to begin from just what we finished last week, that is the Kibra by-election, and the results that you saw there. Were you satisfied by the outcome, even before we talked about the incidences that we witnessed?
Well, I always stand for a free and democratic process. The people of Kibera have made their decision. I may not necessarily agree with the decision, but we'll respect their position. That is the way I take it. But be that as it may, because this is now water under the bridge, there are a few issues that we as a nation need to learn from the process of the events that have happened at Kibra. First of all, from my own assessment, we are not yet out of the woods of electoral malpractices.
Right.
The IEBC still has got a long way to go in making sure that we can have free and fair elections. Because I was in Kibera, I have watched the events, and we can see there are very serious flaws. Violence was dominant, bribery was dominant, and this is not the kind of environment where people will be able to make a free and fair decision. So going forward, unless there's a serious conversation around IEBC, national conversation, we are likely to be seeing or witnessing a precursor to very serious violence during the general election.
But can you really blame the IEBC? Because like the three gentlemen we had on the show a few minutes ago, these incidents are committed by politicians. Bribery is by politicians. The violence is by them.
But there is an institution that is supposed to take some action. The IEBC has taken too long to sanction either a political party or individuals that have been associated with violence. They're taking too long. They have not done it. So until they they show their teeth in terms of what they say, because they'll threaten and say anybody who does this shall be penalized. But they have not penalized anybody.
Right.
So that is an issue. Until they do that, we are going to see re-emergence of the jungle of the law during the electoral process. And this is what we have been saying has been the cause of the conflict in 1992, the conflict in 1997, maybe a buy in 2002, but then it escalated in 2007, 2008. We saw flashes of it again in the last elections. Now, all these things are happening, but still, the electoral body is not sanctioning.
But let me ask you, Honorable Mudavadi, because you're the party leader of the ANC, and for the 3 or so months, or maybe 2 months that the campaign was going on, there are all these incidents. Did you at any point in time report to the IEBC or complain to the IEBC of such incidents?
Of course. The IEBC got messages from us. They got written complaints about incidents. There were police reports that were made of occurrences that should not have occurred. All these are there. Yeah. So, and in any case, does it take anybody to know that, for instance, you are not supposed to be outside a polling station during the voting day? After you voted, you're supposed to be kept way off. This was not happening in Kibera.
And since I think I saw you speaking after a little while I had voted, had you visited a polling station yourself?
Yes, I did. I visited not...
Why would you visit one?
I visited one because I am the party leader of ANC, and I was escorting the person who was our candidate. There's absolutely nothing wrong in that. But I did not interfere in any of the voting process. In fact, when he entered his booth, I stepped out so that he can vote freely without me being there.
Okay. And so now during the campaigns, we heard you make several statements, and one of them was that there are certain governors that had accompanied party leader of the ODM, that is Raila Odinga, that you would accuse to be corrupt. Let's listen to exactly what you said.
Wengi wa hawa magavana wamepora mali za county governments. Tayari faili zao zimejaa kwa DCI na zingine zimejaa kwa Ethics and Anti-Corruption. Sasa wanajificha nyuma ya mzee wa hapa ili wakingwe wakati upelelezi unaendelea.
So first of all, I think that was on Monday. The rally you're talking about are the governors who accompanied Raila Odinga. On Sunday, I saw Andrew Iguru, governor of Kirinyaga, Charity Ngilu, governor of Kitui, Alfred Mutua of Machakos, Kivutha Kibwana of Makueni, and James Ongwae of Kisii County. Among the five, who are you alleging to be corrupt?
My friend, I don't want to belabor that. First of all, has anybody denied the validity of my statement?
But since you're the one who made the claim, who exactly are you talking about?
Let us just look at it this way. Has anybody denied the validity of my statement? I did not mention an individual, but has anybody denied what I said?
So
nobody has countered it.
Who are you referring to?
Point number two. Point number two. If you check during the same week, the Council of Governors was meeting a few days before that day. The Council of Governors was meeting with the chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption body and other people, and they were saying that they would like the investigative agencies to go slow because so many governors are being summoned to answer queries about the management of resources or misappropriation of resources in their counties. It is there. Secondly, the auditor's reports have also alluded to so many counties that are having challenges. Was
there any public communication indicating that is what was the essence of the conversation between COG and EACC?
It was public. It was in the newspapers. It was even carried in the news media houses.
So tell me, Honorable Mudavadi, those governors that accompanied Raila Odinga, who exactly do you have evidence against that they were involved or that they have corruption cases that they want Raila Odinga to defend them from, to shield them from?
My friend, even if I don't have to mention this, haven't there been procurement challenges in Machakos which have been brought to the public for?
Carry on.
Yeah, they have been.
So if you had to talk about governors that are being shielded by Raila Odinga, how exactly is he doing that?
Well, I think the message here is that people will try to seek cover behind political authority or behind political individuals to try and sometimes camouflage what may be happening. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody has come out to say that they are not facing any challenges. Yeah, if they do come out, fine. But the point that I made, if you go into detail and you go further, you will find that a lot of governors, not necessarily even those ones who are at any of those public rallies, but so many others, are facing queries about management of resources in their counties.
One other thing that you alleged during those rallies is that that when you look at the other NASA colleagues, the National Super Alliance colleagues, you look at them and you are not able to identify them. Let's listen into what exactly that was before we can dive into that conversation. Right, of course, talking about, you alleged, as we get that bite on where you talk about the National Super Alliance, you are saying that you look at the faces of those people that you worked with and you're not able to identify them. I wish you had that clip so that you can contextualize.
Yes, no, but I can remember what I said.
Because no, let's just get it first.
Okay.
Tumefika pahali kweli wenzetu wengine ambao tulianza nao NASA siwezi kuwatambua, sijui sura nini imefanyika. Tulipoanza barabara ya kwenda Canaan, Wiper Kalonzo alikuweko, Musalia Mudavadi alikuweko, Wetangula alikuweko. Sasa wanasema wanataka waangalie nyuma. Kuangalia nyuma pahali anasema jenge coalition. Kuangalia nyuma nikaona Waiguru. If there is going to be a coalition, it must be a national coalition that is going to restore Kenya's economic program.
So there are two issues that you raised there. First of all, what is wrong with the Anne Waiguru rallies with Raila Odinga when you're talking about?
I think there's a bigger principle here. The bigger principle is that in the original NASA formation, we had a coalition document. There are issues that we are supposed to pursue. There are issues that we said we would, if we are going to be accountable to the people of Kenya, we must perform certain functions. So the question that arises, NASA, having not formed the government, should have automatically translated into the official opposition. Now, the question that we ask, and this is the question that people are asking, is NASA presenting itself as a watchdog, as an official opposition, when it comes to their conduct in Parliament?
What's your answer?
My answer is that no. We are seeing a lot of issues happening, some of which we may touch on later today. We are seeing challenges around the growth of public debt. We are seeing issues that are seriously affecting the cost of living in this country being carried through parliamentary processes without the opposition raising any serious concerns. So clearly, we have reached a stage where people are beginning to have difficulty in identifying whether our opposition is functional in Parliament. That was the other fundamental issue. The second fundamental issue is, it cannot be even clearer. It's so clear in what I've said, that if indeed formations are going to emerge, what Kenyans need is a serious coalition that will work towards the economic recovery of this country. And that is so clear.
Honorable Mudavadi, when I look at the political framework currently, and you're talking about the coalition you want is the one that is going to take the country back, and especially when it comes to the economy, who are these people that you'd work with? Because I look at the Jubilee Party, I see a handshake, then I see William Ruto not very comfortable. So who are these people that you form a coalition with?
I think the mistake we're making is that we keep on looking at the same pool.
So which other pool?
They're Kenyans. The census has just come out. We have 48 million Kenyans. I think this notion of imagining that Kenya shall not function without Mudavadi, or Kenya shall not function without Ruto, or Kenya shall not function without Raila, or Kenya shall not function with Kalonzo, is wrong. We have to debunk this. We have to realize that there are other Kenyans out there who are feeling the pinch just as much as we are feeling the pinch. And I am convinced, I have hope in the people of Kenya, that this should not be seen as a debate about those who are in the political class alone. This is a Kenyan debate.
You're talking of a different pool, and I want to take you back to the year 2002, where we had the National Rainbow Coalition, comprising of several leaders, including those that are currently in government and in the opposition. Came 2007, the people that you worked with in the ODM Pentagon and the ODM party going into the election, they are still current in the political framework that we have now. Come 2013, they were there. 2017, you were there with the National Super Alliance. I mean, which other pool will you get, even as you talk about 47.5 million Kenyans?
No, but there are also so many other members of parliament who are not members of parliament at that time. There are so many other players in the political arena who are not key political players at that time. So what we are saying is that Kenyans need to have their space, and I would want to plead particularly, even to members of the Fourth Estate, let us not try and put people in silos. Let us give Kenyans a broad opportunity to speak out. We have members of the civil society in this country.
Right.
Who would like to make a serious contribution. We have emerging lady leaders. We have emerging younger people who want to make serious decisions. I mean, how do you explain a situation where our education is out there, but our economy is here? There's a serious mismatch.
Right.
Okay, so these are issues that need to be brought to the table. Let us change the conversation from a personality-driven conversation to an issue-based conversation.
Even as you talk about that, you know, the biggest conversation, and this has come from after the events of Kibra constituency, and now they are talking about the Handshake and the Building Bridges Initiative report that is said to be coming out in the next few days. Where do you stand? I know you have not been very comfortable with the handshake all through, but where do you stand? Should BBI really be the one that defines the destiny of this country going into the future?
You know, we have said this. You don't judge a book by its cover. And I've constantly said that the report of the BBI is not yet officially out. What we are getting are snippets. As to whether those snippets are accurate or not, I cannot state, because the authors of the BBI are there. So I will make an informed decision once I see the BBI report, read it, and make an informed decision. And I plead that Kenyans do the same. We should not try and browbeat anybody. Are you for it or not for it before you have seen the document?
Okay, all right. Let's take a look at something that you said. I believe it was sometimes in September when you were in the US, is it? And you had certain conversation and articles were written about you claiming that the handshake was a resultant of, look at that, Musalia lying on visa cancellation claim, says ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna. And earlier on you had indicated that the handshake was reached after there were threats to cancel visas. That is, ODM leaders attack Mudavadi over visa claim about Uhuru Odinga handshake. First of all, what is the truth? What is it that you said, and what is the truth in as far as how the handshake was reached?
All I can tell you is that I've never withdrawn those remarks. And I will never withdraw them. That speaks volumes, doesn't it? So it's water under the bridge, but I'll never withdraw those remarks.
No, but you have never said them on Citizen TV. That's what I'm asking you.
No. But
how was the handshake?
But I have said it. I have said it now that I stand by what I said then.
Which is?
That there were other influences that generated all these issues, and I have said it. So I'm not going to withdraw. I'll leave it as it is. And I would prefer we move on to the next issue.
That's your preference, but which visas were these that were cancelled?
No, there are certain aspects that now I don't talk to, but it is there.
Then what happens to the story that you had given that on the day of the swearing in, you were somewhere you were waiting to be called? Then we hear Edwin Sifuna claiming...
I will not respond to Edwin Sifuna. But I will respond to you. This position I have maintained, and it's time to move on. And I have said it that I will not withdraw my remarks. They stand as they are.
So if indeed that the political handshake was arrived at because of threats to cancel visas, or maybe they had already been cancelled, because you would not tell me that, can Kenyans therefore trust this process, even as we wait for the report to come and have an opportunity to debate it?
You see, Gituku, there were some challenges that we spoke to much earlier. And now I'm speaking about myself. I'm not responding to other people. I did say that the initial process of building up to the BBI had its challenges. And the challenges were that it was not seen to have been participatory. All right? And in the process, it has been seen more as an arrangement of two of our leading personalities in this country.
Right.
All right? So if that is the situation, then the buy-in from the rest of the country will have some challenges. Be that as it may, we said, let us give them the benefit of doubt. Let us wait and see what shall be the content of the BBI. Then we can make informed decisions. What I will defend Kenyans from is an attempt to browbeat Kenyans into a position before they have been given adequate opportunity to analyze the contents of that report.
Did you make presentations before the BBI task force?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because as far as I'm concerned, anything to do with the constitution of this country was contained in our NASA document, which we filed with the Registrar of Political Parties, and which stood very clearly and said that the position, constitutional review position that we would have wanted to revisit would have been the bomber's draft constitution.
And you still feel so?
And I still feel so.
But wouldn't that be self-defeatist? Because if you do not make your presentations before that task force, and then again when the report is out, you want to make your contribution, wouldn't you have lost an opportunity that would have been essential for you to take this country forward in as far as your thoughts and aspirations for the country?
That is one school of argument, but the other school of argument is that we have made a position. It is in the NASA document. Mm-hmm. I did not see any reason to repeat mm-hmm. myself. Mm-hmm. Any position that I stood for around the Constitution is in the NASA document that we filed.
All right. I want us to take a look at what has been happening in the country. And recently we saw the communication to the nation by the Chief Justice David Maraga talking about threats to cut budgets mm-hmm. in that institution. Now we understand that towards the end of last week, the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary communicated saying yes. that the budgets had been restored. I mean, exactly what is happening in this country, that we have to reach a situation where the Chief Justice, quote-unquote, rants to the nation.
I think this is a situation where people are feeling frustrated, and even independent institutions in government are beginning to feel the crunch, the economic crunch that is biting this country. Mm-hmm. I've seen very interesting issues here. The Minister for Treasury or Minister for Finance has mm-hmm. publicly stated that they have to cut back to the tune of 50% of their public expenditure because mm-hmm. the revenues that they are collecting cannot match their obligations. Now, they have even gone in to admit that the projections that mm-hmm. they were giving mm-hmm. were projections that were not realistic. So clearly, we have been living a dream,
right,
or a lie on some of these issues. Not too long ago, I think the chairman of the budget committee admitted that the projections were out of line.
Right.
I saw a member of that committee in the name of Honorable Kuria also admit mm-hmm. that they have actually been misleading the country mm-hmm. in terms of the figures that are coming out. So clearly, what the Chief Justice was doing, mm-hmm. He was shocked because a decision had been made to curtail the budget of the institution that he heads. Mm-hmm. And it appeared he had not been consulted, right. or they had not been consulted appropriately. So this is a sign that there is pressure in the government. The economic times are here, and they're going to be with us. Hard economic times are going to be with us for a little longer. Now, let me just give you an example, even if we go back to an issue of the BBI, because these are the issues that are not being interrogated. If indeed the Treasury mm-hmm. is cutting back expenditure to the tune of 50%, mm-hmm. doesn't that also speak volumes as to how, assuming that the BBI is ratified by the Kenyans and they feel that it's okay, how will he fund the processes? Mm-hmm. These are fundamental issues that are just being glossed over. They're being glossed over in you telling me, are you for it or not for it? Mm-hmm. But let us interrogate the intervening factors. If the Treasury says we have to cut back on the judiciary, we have to cut back on parliament, right. we have to cut back in agriculture, we have to cut back in this because the debts are too high. Now, doesn't this ring a bell that there are some issues that Kenyans are not interrogating seriously? We want to gloss over these things. But
then again, there are issues that you'd want addressed, and you're saying that you'd fall back to the bomber's draft. How then would you achieve that if you do not go through a referendum that would obviously cost money?
That is the question. Don't you think that going forward, there has to be a serious conversation to address issues around the IEBC? Mm-hmm. Because if indeed a referendum becomes necessary down the line, then the economic circumstances must mm-hmm. be taken into account. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I want to play a clip that what you spoke about recently, saying that it's your time now. Let's just contextualize that first.
Upuzi huo. Kenya lazima ibadilike na wakati ni sasa. Na kama sio sasa ni sasa hivi. Nimechoka kupembeleza. Nimekuwa mnyenyekevu. I've been a very humble man, doing my work with a lot of humility. But my time is now.
So your time is now. What exactly do you mean?
I think the point I'm trying to make here is that we have to change the orientation of Kenya's politics. We need serious issue-based politics. We see an economy that is suffering. Agriculture is under pressure. People are being laid off in the agricultural sector, whether it is relating to tea, whether it's relating to horticulture. People are losing jobs. Graduates are emerging from our universities and other institutions.
Right.
But we are not being able to offer them sufficient opportunities. These are issues that we now need to address. We have been having too much of what you'd call brinkmanship and showmanship politics, to the extent that when you go to City Hall, for instance, today, you go to the planning department, it has been knocked off, dissolved. They are pending applications worth 10 billion shillings of people who want to have construction, renovations, and so forth to go on. Now, all these are stagnant. First of all, the county government is losing revenue. Secondly, the people, the financiers who have put all these things together, the architects, cannot move on. Jobs are not being created. Now, these are issues that show that we are having a lot of laxity in some of our institutions.
And therefore the question, if indeed it's your time now, but because you've been a very humble man, but this is your time, how exactly do you correct that?
We want to correct it by working with people and working with teams of Kenyans who will make these institutions function. This is what we want. And they're there. My brother Gituku, they're Kenyans who can make a very big difference.
Musalia Mudavadi, in 2013, you ran for election. You didn't become president. In 2017, you ran together with Raila Odinga. You were not successful. In 2007, the situation, we saw it. And now you're saying it's your time. How exactly do you plan to make that work?
Well, I'm building my party, ANC, very systematically, and I'm talking to different people.
Building a party, yet you've seen some of them, including Godfrey Otsotsi, attacking you right, left, and center, including in Kibra, campaigning against your own candidate.
That will not deter me from the bigger focus in our country. In terms of all these political parties, my brother, we have a few individuals who will always take a different position. That should not deter you from moving forward. If it is in Jubilee, Aisha Juma, in ODM, Aisha Juma takes a different position from
but Jubilee is in power.
No, but
if you're not in power, you need every other number.
No. They take a different position. Okay, I'm trying to get you to on the same footing that you have raised. And on this side, Commander was campaigning for ODM, but is in Jubilee. So let's not look at it from that context, because that would be a narrow way of looking at it. I think the most important thing is that we want to develop more cultured and more principled politics in this country. Let us admit that there is a serious void in people standing up to what they signed up to in the beginning.
I want us to wind up, and I would want to ask you this question. Would you work with Raila Odinga again after working with him in 2007 and 2017?
Why do you pick him?
I'll tell you why, but first
yes,
of all,
no. Why do you pick him?
Would you work with Raila Odinga?
No, why do you pick him?
Barack Muluka, who is your Secretary General, said that...
why would you pick him?
I'm responding to your question. His time is up. He's referring to Raila Odinga. The whole country knows that Raila has ridden on the backs of others in 2013 and 2017. He's trying to do the same in Kibra. That is Barack Muluka who spoke on your behalf.
I think Barack Muluka can speak for himself, and the time will come, you'll have him here at this show, and you can ask him that question.
He's the Secretary General.
He is my Secretary General, but I want to make it very clear that he can speak for himself.
And so therefore, when you say that you look at the faces within NASA and you are not able to recognize them, one of them is Raila Odinga. Would you work with him again?
The point I'm trying to say is that there is a serious breach of trust that has occurred in NASA. And this breach of trust has had implications, and that is why I say, how many of us are really living up to the original principles and objectives of NASA?
Politicians and politics.
Yeah.
Again, will you work with Raila Odinga in 2022?
I will not respond to that question at this point in time. We are all in NASA.
All in NASA, but NASA has not had any meeting of the summit.
NASA has got its challenges, so that is an issue that we'll come across as we go ahead.
Let's take a look at what Kenyans have been saying on Twitter as well as on SMS line 22422. What is it? This is Omwando Vickery. What has stopped Musalia Mudavadi from assuming the role of the official opposition leader? Must Raila Odinga be the one keeping the government in check? What has stopped him from pursuing the NASA agenda, if any? You respond to that. Up next, Sir Rawlings, you say, I may not always agree with Mudavadi, but I must say his decision to field a candidate in Kibra against the grain, against the threats by ODM must be respected. Says a lot that indeed he is no pushover a national conversation on matters political succession. Someone else, Basil Muraz, says that I traveled from Mombasa to Vogoli Girls in Vihiga County to see Musalia Mudavadi. Luckily, I managed to shake hands with him. The man holds dreams for Kenyans. Then Kimengichi said that Musalia Mudavadi is a true leader who believes in peace and unity. He is the best bet. Daybreak. What else? Do you have SMSs on 22422? This is what you've been saying. That Mheshimiwa Mudavadi should team up with Wetangula and show the Mulembe community the way forward. And my question, will Mheshimiwa stand on his own come 2022 or will back up another person? Kosike Nakuru, Mudavadi, we are seeing a new you, straight shooting, precise and loud and clear. Watch this space. Keep on keeping on, Honorable Mudavadi. All right, so that's what Kenyans are saying. And the first question, I think, the first tweet was about whether you'll be a man of your own or they will run alongside someone else in 2022. I don't know what response you have.
I've pronounced myself on this matter, and I've said I'm gearing up systematically for the election of 2022. Yes.
And about that concern about the NASA position, why you've not been standing for it, if indeed it exists, that's a view of you have not.
You see, the position of NASA is reflected by our legislators in Parliament, all right? Because the arena is largely Parliament, both Parliament, that is the National Assembly, and also the Senate. And a lot of the policy positions that are being taken inside there. The issue around the debt and how it should be handled, and the authority to be able to oppose this ceiling that is being increased, vests in Parliament.
Yet they didn't stop it. There was no quorum, actually.
Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. There are two components, by the way. There are two components, and sometimes it's good to be very fair to the country on this one. There's one that deals with the capping of interest rates.
Right.
Okay? In the banking sector. And then there's the national debt ceiling.
Oh, yes, of 9 trillion shillings.
Of 9 trillion. So these are two different things. Where there was a problem of quorum to try and reverse the presidential memorandum is the interest rate caps. But on this one, speaking as an economist and as a former finance minister, Parliament made the right decision. Yes, this is a very painful thing to say, but it's the reality. Because a few years ago, in the last Parliament, the TNA and URP government made a fundamental mistake. One of their members from Kiambu I can't remember the name.
Jude Njomo.
Jude Njomo. She is the one who moved the motion that reintroduced the caps on interest rates.
Right.
That was a fatal mistake for the economy at that time. It seemed popular. Now, what has happened is that with time, the effect of the capping of rates has hurt the expansion of credit in the country to the small-scale traders and others. So Uhuru now is correcting it by bringing in his memorandum to reverse that position.
All right.
All right? So that one we put aside.
Okay.
I hope it's understood. It's going to be painful. It will have shocks, but that's it. The other one is the one that deals with the upper limit of the borrowing.
Right.
And there, Parliament made a hasty decision.
Which, in your opinion, was wrong?
Yeah.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the ANC Party Leader and also an NASA principal. I hope I'm still allowed to call you so.
Yes, yes, it's still legally the position.
Okay, all right. Yes. So thank you so much for making time for us on Daybreak, and of course you can continue to share your feedback on 22422 as well as on Twitter at Citizen TV Kenya. Some get to the hashtag to use Daybreak.